Hi folks, the Filipina P here, and we've all heard about how shy and reserved Filipinos are. But those of you that have been here know, that's not exactly true. The Philippines is about 80% Catholic, but at the same time, we sure have a lot of single mothers running around, so somebody's got some splaining to do. The truth is, a lot of us become physically intimate rather quickly, sometimes on the first date. So, are we really conservative, or is that just a carefully crafted public image? Well, to get to the bottom of things, who better to ask than the women themselves? So, let's go talk to some random Filipinas. Will they answer honestly? Let's find out. Now, we all know the stereotype of the innocent, virtuous Filipina, the woman from the province that waits until after the wedding before she'll even hold hands with a guy. And I'm not saying those women don't exist, they actually do, but that's not exactly the average Filipina. So let's ask some point-blank questions about why we behave so differently in public and then flip the script behind closed doors.
Honestly speaking, I don't really think that all the Filipinos are conservative. Because if Filipinos are conservative, why do we have a very high rate of teenage pregnancy and unsafe practice of sex? Also, one of the reasons why I don't believe that the Filipinos are conservative is that um, sex actually happens. Sex is a reality. Being intimate is a reality. But somehow here in the Philippines, being a Christian-dominated country, kumbaga, most of the people are Catholics, Christians in general. Basically, sex or being intimate, being in an intimate relationship, is really a taboo, or most people really discourage it. But somehow, we can't help it because we are just humans. We long for pleasure, for a different way of expressing love, kumbaga.
I feel like most of the Filipinas became like conservative in public because they are afraid to be judged, or they are or like it's not about like insecurity, but they are afraid to be judged by other people, or to be called by different nicknames, like bad nicknames. And I feel like they are being more intimate privately because of how they love their partner.
Just because of the influence of your peers or the surroundings you're within, or in the social media. Especially nowadays, social media is one of the most influential medium. They imitate what lovers in social media do, like intimate things, like a physical touch, something like that. Yeah, sometimes some of us are conservative, but not all the time na po.
The thing is, the Philippines is very conservative. We have a certain image we need to portray. We need to be like so demure, shy, the Maria Clara thing. If you give us the time and the space to like be emotionally vulnerable to you, we will be intimate with you because we are emotionally invested with you, like any other relationship.
So it sounds like we act reserved in public, so that our friends and neighbors won't think badly about us. But once we get you alone, we'll let our hair down. And maybe let a few other things down too. Like I've always said, the Philippines is just like a lot of Asian countries, where it doesn't matter what the truth is, it only matters what it looks like it is. Guarding your reputation, what we call saving face, is job number one. But if we care so much about public perception, what about the way we dress? Are we okay with looking sexy in public?
If I were to date a man, obviously I would want someone who is okay with me dressing revealing. A man should be supportive to a woman dressing revealing. Also, he should know how to fight. If he's a jealous,
Actually, yes, because I really wanted to actually dress more sexy or liberated in public. But sometimes I really don't want to dress more sexy in public and such.
I mean, I would be down to the idea, but it just depends on my mood. If I want to dress conservatively on that day, sure. Pero at the same time, if the next day I want to dress like more provocatively, sure, yes.
It would be okay for me, but there are times that I wouldn't want to dress sexy in public because I believe that I want to dress appropriately for the places I go to, not like deliberately dress up in public as sexy because I don't think it will always be appropriate.
For me, if I would to marry someone, I would really choose someone who supports me in everything what I wear or how I represent myself, because finding a partner is not just about like being love. I feel like it's better for me to choose someone who supports me in everything I wear or how I represent myself.
Well, for me, as a conservative woman, I would say that I can accept that 50-50. Like, it depends on the situation or in the events that I would go in like that. I like that kind of man if he give me freedom to wear what I want, to express what I want for myself.
Well, that's pretty surprising. For a culture that values not getting noticed, most of the women didn't seem to mind the idea of dressing sexy. But I doubt their version of provocative clothing is what you're imagining. To them, it might mean wearing a sundress that actually shows their knees. But what about something even bolder and more permanent, like plastic surgery? What would the average Filipina think about modifying her body in order to look more attractive?
I would consider it if I really wanted to change a part of my body. But I don't really think a person should change anything just to please her partner or husband.
Yes, I've actually thought about it when I was like overthinking a lot of things like about my future. Na if I would get adjustments on my haakon body.
I would not. I would prefer that. I wouldn't prefer that kind of, you know, because I am contented from my own body.
For my personal, in my personal standpoint, I think yes. Given the fact that I also want some body enhancements, then I think I would go for it as long as it would be for my betterment and for the betterment of me and my husband.
Right now, I'm not exactly thinking of any body enhancements. Maybe skin enhancements, yes. But as of the moment, I no.
So most of the women weren't against the idea of changing their bodies, and several of them said they'd do it if they could. But unlike Western women, you know what surgical procedure almost all of them were talking about? A nose job. Filipinos usually have really small boobs, but that doesn't bother us nearly as much as what's on our face. It's our noses that we really hate, and if you give us a chance to make them a little pointier, we'll do it. I know you guys out there are saying, but we love your noses just the way they are. Don't change them. But a Filipina doesn't believe you. And every time she looks in the mirror, the first thing she sees is her ugly flat nose. Okay, we've established that Filipinos aren't always as traditional as we appear. We don't mind the thought of wearing sexy clothes or altering our bodies to look better. And sometimes we're eager to have sex a lot faster than we'd like to admit. But what happens after we get that ring on our finger? Do the bedroom gymnastics disappear right after we say I do?
I think it's normal for partners to lose a certain spark in their relationship, because that means that they are being more comfortable with each other.
Personally, if you're really emotionally invested and if both parties are like working in the middle ground, like they truly communicate together, I think me and my hypothetical partner would last a lifetime, like a lifetime. Because like, again, communication is the key.
Yes, I believe na I will lose interest eventually because we're just humans, as I've mentioned earlier. There will always be times na we will get tired of being too intimate or having sex with our partners in the future, since as women we also have menopausal stage, but that's it.
For me personally, as a person who is a date to marry person, like I would not lose interest after marriage, because what's the point of marriage if you will lose interest afterwards? So it is important for us to marry someone that um very very fit to us, so that there will be no like any situation that will lead you to have divorce or annulment. So yeah.
Well, my answer is just simple because even though you are not married or you are married, there's no such thing that you lose interest. If you really love someone, there's um there's nothing that you can lose interest. Like you may lose your feelings towards your husband, because if you really love someone genuinely, your romantic feeling towards him will last forever.
I believe in the saying to keep the fire burning. So for my personal standpoint, I think that I would still be interested in intimacy despite being married for a very long time, as long as my husband agrees with it and as long as my body agrees with it.
Actually, I think no, but I also have this idea that I will be building a relationship or a marriage that wherein it does not only revolves around sex, wherein me and my partner could be happy in simple things such as eating together or watching movies together, like that.
Well, those were some pretty fair answers, and even if a few of them were overly optimistic, at least you could tell that their hearts are in the right place. A couple of the women recognized the fact that yes, a female's desire is gonna fade, usually a lot faster than a man's, but the other young ladies think they'll stay amorous forever, which is really sweet. I hope their future husbands download this video as a reminder of what they said every time they develop a sudden headache. But if looks fade and sex trails off, what's the purpose of getting married? Well, everyone knows that the most important thing in the world is having kids. And a Filipino won't even consider a man who doesn't want children, right? Or will she?
Children, of course, it is very important in a married life, since it will strengthen the marriage. But then, of course, in some cases, for example, my husband isn't capable of giving me a child. So I would be okay into other options like adopting. I want to be a mother someday. If I would meet a man who doesn't like to have children, I think I would say no to him, not unless if his reason are valid, or like, for example, it has something to do with his health or some medical reasons, then maybe I would try to reconsider.
If I marry someone, I want to marry them for them, not for the hypothetical kids we'll be making. In this economy, would I be making them?
For me, it isn't really important since I'm really thinking practical. I actually had just had this conversation yesterday, last night with my friends online. And I don't really think having children is really important because here in the Philippines, in this economy talaga, it's very expensive to raise a child here in the Philippines. There are many expenses. Maybe if I live in another country that offers greater opportunities, maybe yes. I don't really like to have kids in general, but if I will try. But I really don't want to have a child.
I want a man who want to have kids, because of course, as a Filipina, it is like very into us that we love taking care of children, taking care of people. So as someone that didn't grow up with together with my parents, I want to build a family that I would really love, and I will take care of them, not just my husband, but also my kids, and to give them the life that I wasn't able to experience. And if I will have children, I will have the capabilities to give them the life that they deserve.
Well, having a children is a blessing, di ba? And I would prefer to marry a man who would gladly to have a kids because
it's more fun if you're if you're many in your family members, because the more the merrier.
It's actually my dream to have children, but if it's for my partner's health, if my partner has health issues and couldn't bear any children, I think it would be fine with me, because in the first place I didn't start the relationship just for us to have children, but my love for him wouldn't like be less even if we don't have any children of our own.
So personally, I really don't want to have kids because nga of the economy right now. But I would love to marry a man that love to have kids, because I am open naman for discussions.
The concept of having kids seems fun, but the experience a woman has to go through during childbirth is an extremely terrifying thought for me. Maybe in the future my mind could change, but I don't think I might not end up having kids in the future. But if I do, then yay! And for me, if the man or the person I'm gonna end up dating doesn't want any kids, that's okay with me.
Now, I bet you weren't expecting that, were ya? You guys often cross Filipinos off your wish list because you've heard we all want children. I always tell you that's not necessarily the case, and here's proof. Like you just heard, a lot of women are fine without kids. So if having babies isn't part of your plan, it's not hard to find a partner who's on the same page. Well, that's it for today's look into the mind of the not always so conservative Filipina. The women we talked to today aren't from the big city, but they're not from deep in the mountains either. So their views might be pretty balanced. And I hope you got a better idea of what makes us tick. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I'll be back on Tuesday with something totally different. We're gonna send a team of brave explorers underground into the largest cave system in the Philippines. You don't want to miss it. Unless you're claustrophobic. Till then, folks. If you think about it, I'm kind of like Marianne. We both have bubbly personalities. We've lived in bamboo huts, and both of us are stuck on a tropical island, doing whatever we can to get off. If you want to help me get rescued, please give a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you can see my next episode. If you really want to save me, check out my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive videos and features. And also like Marianne, I have to take cold showers. Hey Gilligan, can you throw me that towel? I'm so not looking forward to this.
No, you sure don't look like the skipper.
Gilligan? Only 4 men on the island, and I have to get stuck with a peeping Gilligan.